Hello all. Dear guests, please accept our greetings. Take your seats now and please turn your microphones off. We are, as the members of İZMIR Democracy University, ELT Student Club, proudly hosting our third online session on Creating a World for a Better Learning Dialogic Approach by Dr. SEZEN ARSLAN from YÜZÜNCÜ University.
Now we will give you some brief information about the session. My name is ABUŞKA from ALT Department in İZMIR Democracy University. The moderator is Dr. NURDAN, who is also our academic advisor at ALT Department. The session is about 20-25 minutes long, and the QA sessions will be held by QA managers, me and DENİZ DİNÇ. You may prefer to write your questions. Don't worry, we'll be checking chat box, or you may use your mics if eligible. And please do. Now we would like to kindly invite Dr. NURDAN to start off the third session. Thank you.
Hi there, it's me again. Today is a very special day. You can see my smiling face since we are going to host my partner in crime, my sister from another mother, my project generator, my friend of misery from old school PhD years, and so on and so forth. And I don't want to take up too much time. You know, she's waiting over there. Let me leave the stage to my dear colleague, Dr. SEZEN ARSLAN from YÜZÜNCÜ University to present her topic on dialogic teaching. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. Today I will talk about dialogic teaching approach. I think you are very lucky because this approach is not very well known, let's say in our Turkey context. Okay, let's start with the content of this presentation. This presentation will start with the distinction with conversation and dialogue, and then I will continue with what is and what is not dialogic teaching, and continue with dialogic teaching repertoire, and in the final I will get your questions and comments. Okay, I would like you to just read this quotation very briefly. Okay, let's read together. If an answer does not give rise to a new question from itself, it falls out of the dialogue. If an answer doesn't lead a new question, the dialogue doesn't happen, it means. I know it's hard to understand because it seems very paradoxical, right? And I highlighted these three words, answer, question, and the dialogue, because the dialogic approach consists of these three terms, very briefly. So, as the slides proceed, as the slides elaborates, you will understand what this quotation means, actually. Okay, let's start with the distinction between conversation and dialogue. A conversation has an end. It doesn't go anywhere because it's so informal. It's like, hello, how are you? What's up? Fine, okay? But the dialogue is very, very different because dialogue dialogue has a purpose. For example, dialogue is happening because you receive or you send an information to the participants, to the speakers, or to the listeners. Okay, then let's move to what is not dialogic teaching. Dialogic teaching doesn't mean talk. Dialogic teaching doesn't mean question and answer. Dialogic teaching doesn't mean listening and speaking. But the term says it's dialogic, but it's not about only communication skills. It's just an approach. It's just a general approach. It's a general understanding, and it's not a specific method. Okay, then, what is it? It pays attention to teacher talk. It's not only a student talk. For example, some other methods or some other approach, let's say, focus on student talk, but this is not such an approach. It focuses on teacher talk. as well. Okay, let's skip into these teaching repertoires. It includes 4 repertoires, and they are talk for everyday life, learning talk, teaching talk, and classroom organization. Okay, what is the first repertoire then? It's for talk for everyday life. And you see there are several components like transactional, expository, interrogatory, exploratory, expressive, evaluative. It is a very basic component of this approach. Okay, then let's start with this first one, transactional talk. It's about sender and receiver. For an interaction to happen, right, we need a sender and we need a receiver. Because the messages are transferred between these 2 lines, then active listening happens. It's a very basic step. Okay, what about expository talk? It's for explanations. Expository talk is used for making explanations. What about interrogatory talk? As the name suggests, it's about questions. And exploratory talk refers to sharing your ideas, whereas expressive talk is about expressing your emotions. And finally, evaluative talk is for your expressing opinions. So what are they? Actually, they are the components that we use in our daily life, even in our native language, Turkish. We listen, we speak, we explain something, we share ideas, emotions, and opinions. So this is the basic repertoire. So this is the first repertoire. This is the first stage, let's say. Okay, the second repertoire is learning talk. Learners don't only deliver yes or no answers to the questions addressed by the teachers, right? So we experience all of these. Instead, the learners narrate, they tell something, they tell a story. They explain the things, they explain the events, they analyze, they argue, they discuss, they justify the reasons why they think so, right? We don't just say yes or no. Okay, the third one is teaching talk. I guess that you are all familiar with those components like rote, recitation, instruction, exposition. But let's summarize this all. Rote means drilling ideas, facts, and routines through the repetition. For example, it's like, hi, how are you? Fine, thanks, and you? It's just a recitation, like in the second step. But when the things go routine, it means that it facilitates your production. The recitation is using short question-answer sequences like, hi, how are you? Okay, can you tell me the post office? Okay, go straight, turn right, turn left. So these are all the routines of the interaction. Okay, so what about instruction? Instruction means actually the imperatives. It's like telling learners what to do. Like, okay, clean the board, write, stop, or fill in the gaps. They are the imperatives that the teachers always use. Okay, and the final one, exposition, is for explaining things. You know, teachers explain so many things during a classroom, during a class time. So it's all about teaching talk. You are all familiar with this, but maybe these can be new to you, especially the undergraduate students. Discussions and scaffolded dialogue. Discussions can be, you know, in the format of individual or individual or in groups, okay? So what about scaffolded dialogue? Scaffolding means, you know, it's some form of assistance, helping someone, scaffolding something, or scaffolding someone. So what is scaffolded dialogue then? It's through interactions, through questions, through answers, through feedback and classroom climate. Okay, let's go one by one. So what about interactions? Interactions should be built as a team. So cooperation is very important. So we can say that. And what about questions? Questions should be thought-provoking. So teachers should teach some forms of questions like thought-provoking questions, information questions, inferential questions, inferencing questions, okay? So teachers should teach them. And what about feedback? For example, you are a teacher and you teach something to your students. And if you say, okay, class, okay, guys, did you understand today's lesson? And most probably your students will say yes, or maybe some shy students will say no, but this is not a feedback. If you say instead, okay, what did you understand? So this means, okay, I want my students to process something in their mind. Or maybe you can say, okay, can you summarize today's lesson with just maybe 3 points or 3 things? So this is the feedback. This is the meaningful feedback, actually. Okay, so what about classroom climate? How should it be? The classroom climate should be friendly, should be positive. So students should not be feared of sharing their emotions, sharing their opinions. And the last repertoire is classroom organizations. How should classroom organization be then? The teacher can conduct whole class teaching. The teacher can conduct group works, which are very essential, you know. They can be teacher-led. I mean, the teacher can form the groups. They can be student-led. I mean, the students can form the groups. They can be one-to-one, teacher and student, and they can be one-to-one. They can be between or among the just learners. They are just the simple things, the simple stuff. I mean, all of you are familiar with this. So, what are dialogic teaching principles? They are just the basic ones. Dialogic teaching is collective. What does it mean? It means the tasks are done together. The tasks are done together here. Reciprocal. Okay, remember in the first slides I said we need receiver and need sender. So between these two parties, mutual listening is essential. They should listen to each other. They should speak to each other. The messages are transferred between these two parties. So mutual listening is essential in order to communicate across the messages. Okay, dialogic teaching should be supportive. So the students and even the teacher should express the ideas without fear or embarrassment. They should not be shy. They should not be afraid of expressing their ideas. So it's supportive. And it should be cumulative. Learners build on their answers. Learners construct their responses together, and then they shape, they form the ideas together. So it focuses on collaboration and cooperation. And it is purposeful. Classroom talk is planned and serves for a purpose. So we can say that it's just not all about, okay, class, today let's talk about the past holiday in your summer, okay? It doesn't serve well for a purpose, so it should be planned. So the task should be planned beforehand, the talk should be planned beforehand. All of the stuff should be planned. Okay. Firstly, thank you for listening to all these principles. Actually, dialogic teaching doesn't include just such things. It's a very comprehensive approach. But so far, I try to just summarize some principles, let's say, some principles or some very basic stuff all about dialogic teaching. Now, I would like to talk about TUBITAK project that I conducted last autumn. It was all about dialogic teaching in reality for undergraduate students. It was a very enjoyable project for me, at least. And we had eight instructors from different universities across Turkey. You see Hacettepe University, Çukurova University, Barton University, and I was the coordinator from YÜZÜNCÜ University. We had 30 BA students from 13 universities, and they were students of ELT departments from state and private universities. And this year, again, I applied for this project to be granted by TUBITAK, and we welcome students whose GPA is above 3 and above, okay, and who study at ELT departments in Turkey, and who are 3rd and 4th grade students. Here, the students could use this link to develop an understanding of the project, the purpose and the scope of the project, and they can use this link to apply for this project. And during this project, you see the girl in the middle. So she's my right hand, and she was my assistant during that project. And tomorrow is her birthday. So I would like to celebrate her birthday from now. ALEYNA, thank you very much for being a moderator, by the way. And I see my colleagues here. So today, nowadays, let's say, I and NURDAN are very excited because we created a baby journal, which is Fire Journal. You can access the journal from www.firejournal.org, and it's futuristic implementations of research in education. And our first issue will be released in May, so we are very excited about that. And I will just, I just want to express my excitement with the colleagues here. So thank you for your patience and for listening to me. Now I can get your questions, if you have.
So, everyone, thank you very much for your attention. Now it is time for the QA session. Shoot your questions or recommendations if you have any. You can ask your questions in Turkish as well. You can want to write in the chat box, or you can use your microphones.
May I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so dear doctor, thanks for your fruitful session. I was also one of the educators in the project in terms of feedback, and the is like this. And I just wonder how we can adopt or conduct dialogic teaching approach in our classes. So what is the way? What are your recommendations? So what is the difference, the basic difference between traditional way of teaching and dialogic teaching?
Okay, firstly, there's a sharp contrast, you know, with the monologic teaching and the dialogic teaching. Monologic teaching is very different. It's maybe the way that we were taught before. Maybe if you go back to the high school years, NURDAN, you and I very know, okay? And the teachers always say, don't talk, okay, don't talk. But this is in contrast with those times. So we should talk. But in Turkey's context, I think it could be difficult because, you know, the contextual factors like low resource areas, because they lack of internet or computers, or the classroom populations. It can be hard. But as teachers, we could try our best to promote it. For example, we can we can emphasize, or we can highlight, or we can focus on our talk. At least we can use some thought-provoking questions. As teachers, we should learn what thought-provoking questions are in the first step.
So classroom interaction is always important.
Yes, classroom interaction, yeah, is always important one.
So I just started. Maybe we have some other questions. I don't know. Let me ask the QA managers. Yes.
SEZEN, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much for this nice presentation. Just a suggestion, maybe you can propose seminars or in-service training activities for the Ministry of National Education, because this is a new topic as far as I understand, and maybe the teachers in the ministry who serving at national high school or primary schools can benefit from these ideas. Just a suggestion, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. If they invite me, why not? Yeah, I'm very pleased to deliver such training for the teachers.
I am going to talk to the ministry to invite you then.
Yes.
Okay then, thank you.
Because I just know two names in Turkey who are dealing with processes in relation with dialogic teaching approach. You and your projects, and also Kenan Dikilitaş has some kind of works in relation with action-oriented approach and some kind of principles related to dialogic teaching. So it is nice for all of us to hear about this kind of teaching too.
Yeah, actually, you know, the CA and dialogic teaching are very related with each other. It is an approach that comes up in maybe 20 years ago. Yeah, that came up 20 years ago. But in our context, in Turkish context, it's not a very well-known approach, unfortunately. Maybe because of the contextual factors, I don't know.
Thank you.
There's a question from the chat box from Ceyhun Yükseli. He asked kind of troubles we in dialogic teaching.
What kind of troubles we have in dialogic teaching? What do you mean? Actually, Nurdan addressed me such a question, and I told her that we had some drawbacks while teaching according to dialogic teaching. For example, the contextual factors, as I said before. The low source areas or the high population of the classrooms. So these are the drawbacks in our case. So, but as teachers, as a qualification of teaching, we don't have drawbacks. We don't have, because we can do it. All related to communicative language teaching. It's actually, yeah, we can say that it's new, but it's not a brand new approach, because we all know that. But dialogic teaching is like collecting pieces by pieces from many other approaches. How can we cope with unwillingness to communicate of the students while applying this approach in classroom? You can motivate your students, because when we look at our textbooks, the textbooks I think are not very well designed for promoting talk or for motivating talk. Yeah, right? At least I think so. So I think we can adapt our textbooks in a way. But the students, I think the primary condition is that the students should be willing in a way. So you can't teach something to an unwilling student.
There is another question.
Yeah, I can read it. From Merve Hatipoğlu. She says, can we use dialogic approach in assessments of the students' performance?
Dialogic teaching is not an assessment tool, or it cannot be used as an assessment way. It's just an approach. It doesn't tell you how to assess or how to measure your students' performance. It just focuses on the talk, on learner talk and teacher talk. And it tells you something good, or it's a guide about your talk, about the way you talk in the classroom. It's not an assessment. Maybe CFR could be used for assessment, or some other European documents.
One more question.
You will read, or I will?
I'm reading. Ferhat Kanafi says, could you suggest some books or articles from which we can learn horse's mouth and sight?
Yeah, Ferhat, I could suggest you some books. For example, the Bakhtin, Michael Bakhtin books. It's a very old book. It's a Russian philosopher, and Alexander's book. I can give you the sources through the social media. Okay. And Rümeysa Pektaş says, what makes it different from questioning and self-questioning from reflective approach? It's not different. Believe me, Rümeysa, it's not different at all. Again, it lets you question yourself or question your students. As I said, it just gets some pieces from different approaches. As far as you question yourself or your performance, okay, it's okay for dialogic teaching. It's all about question, but questions that lead answers and answers that lead questions. So they should feed each other.
Arif Hoca wants to say something.
Yes, you can talk.
I would like to refer back to the question of assessment procedure. Even within the framework of dialogic education, we need to take into account three important issues. The first one is the curriculum, and you said that teachers plan the task, beforehand, so it could be involved within the curriculum and in your syllabus. And another point is the pedagogy. Dialogic teaching is more related with the pedagogy in the classroom. And assessment, yes, you said that there is no a specific assessment type in the classroom while they are, doing the dialogue, but observation, observation is another point, and keeping some checklists, you can also make some kind of assessments, on your own. Another important point is to teach. Is it for teaching for dialogue or teaching through dialogue? Okay, that's the important point. So yes, you talk about the most important point as rote, recitation, instruction, exposition. Okay, good. But what about the community of inquiry among the learners? Because the learners, they make up a community, among themselves, and they think together. They talk together, they act together, so they are, they are responsible for their own learning. In a sense, within a group or work study, for example, they need to learn how to learn. They need to learn how to communicate with, in quotation, the key word in dialogic teaching is other. Okay, so this is. And there is otherness theory in that sense. Also, this is related to the principles of cooperative learning.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So approaches that create opportunities for talk in the classroom around a subject, around a knowledge, or or the teacher, you have to involve your students in a communicative environment through dialogues, you know. So dialogic pedagogies, you know, both teach through and for the dialogue itself. But as for the assessment, observation, keeping checklist maybe. That could be an answer to the previous question. Thank you very much. It was a very fruitful talk, by the way. I am proud of you. I am proud of all of you.
Thank you so much. I think it is also related with the sense of zone of proximal development, because we have
zone of proximal development. Yes, zone of proximal development. She talked about scaffolding procedure, you know. And in that sense, again, another important point is that because we deal with humans, in terms of students, in terms of learners, in terms of peoples, you know, and you should be very careful about the humanistic values.
Yes.
Okay, part of your students. So the most important thing is to understand. Is to understand the others. Is to understand different perspectives, different opinions, different beliefs in that sense, you know, because there will be many ideas to be generated by others. You have to regard them, either it is dialogic teaching or any kind of
anything else. Yes, we need to
do dialogic because they dialogue, they make up dialogue, they communicate in a sense, you know. Because when they communicate, they will collaborate, they will help each other, okay? And maybe dialogue, there is no an end. Yes, in conversation there is an end. In the dialogue, we have three important procedures, you know. How to initiate the dialogue, the turn-taking procedure. Remember, we were discussing these in our doctoral courses. You know, how to initiate a conversation, initiate a dialogue, maintain it, let it go, and leave the dialogue.
Yes.
When it is ready, when you are ready. Yeah. If not, another topic, okay, takes place and you continue the dialogue. So there is no end. It's an endless process, by the way.
Then the students are going to develop some
like Jim Bomb, it is endless. It is a law forever.
Then the students are going to learn about some turn-taking strategies and maxims of grace, right? So the students are going to learn something different from the already existing literature. I mean, the dialogues in audiolingual method. It is something different from them, right? So maybe they learn about.
You're not. It is not the thing that you need to teach them the maxims of graces, you know.
Yes, but they are going to learn.
But they acquire it. They discover it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You are not going to explain them the maxims of relevance, maxims of quantity, quality. Okay. These things. They discover it. They will. Okay. Think that, yes, it's enough. This much information is enough. And it is related, you see. So you see the maxims of Grice's, yes.
It's actually what we call language acquisition, right?
This is language acquisition, by the way. Yes. It should be required.
Yes. And finally, I suggest for those who are interested in dialogic teaching, read Vygotsky's sources, Vygotsky's publications, because dialogic teaching is quite related with the sources of Vygotsky.
Okay.
So I think we are running out of time. Yes, it is correlated to.
Thank you very much. We love you all. Thanks to you, Nurdan. Thanks to your team. Thanks to SEZEN.
Thanks for your participation. It is
and everyone who participated in this. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So see you.
Before saying goodbye,
are you going to take a picture?
Yes,
a pic?
Wait.
I am waiting for this.
Wait. That's why you're there, Galatasaray, huh?
Yes.
Okay,
now please turn the cameras on.
You know
it's
this.
time for 5
photo, right?
You see, yeah. First, pay attention to the picture behind me.
Yes, I see.
And the team. And my family upstairs.
Let me take the photo. Smile.
Okay, good. So cameras are on now.
Yes. One more time.
Yes. Just wait.
Let me take it one more time because there are some new faces.
Yes.
And the last time for the second.
Okay. Hello to my beautiful doctoral students. I see them right now.
Thanks for your attention, your participation, your collaboration. Now, I think it is time to say goodbye because we have less than a minute. By the way, could you please give an applause to Dr. SEZEN ARSLAN first?
I'm shining, you see.
Yes. Then one more applause to ALEYNA ABUŞKA because tomorrow is her birthday. So
Happy birthday.
Oh,
happy
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday
Aleyna.
to you.